This nuclear Titanic better not blow up. A massive floating nuclear power plant is now on its way to an Arctic port after Russia's state nuclear corporation Rosatom launched the nuclear plant over the weekend. Russian officials say the academic Lomonosov is set to become the first series of floating nuclear power plants Russia plans to develop. The portable plant is not self-propelled and must be towed to the desired location. It is designed to provide energy to port cities and offshore gas and oil extracting platforms. The floating nuclear power plant will be towed from St. Petersburg and around Norway to a Russian town called Murmansk to take on nuclear fuel. From Murmansk, the $232 million nuclear plant will head to the Arctic to power the oil industry town of Pivik. With 2 nuclear reactors, the nuclear plant will produce up to 70 megawatts of electricity, enough to power a city of 100,000 inhabitants. Rosatom says the nuclear plant is designed with a great margin of safety that exceeds all possible threats and makes nuclear reactors invincible for tsunamis and other natural disasters. Rosatom also added that the floating nuclear plant meets all requirements of the International Atomic Energy Agency and do not pose any threats to the environment. Despite such reassurances, Greenpeace nuclear expert Jan Heverkamp told Engadget that having nuclear reactors moving around the Arctic Ocean creates an obvious threat to a fragile environment which is already affected by climate change. Don't drink it.
Radiation still a concern decades after Chernobyl blast. 30 years ago today, an explosion tore through a reactor at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Pripyat, Ukraine. It sent deadly clouds of atomic material into the air and is considered to be the world's worst nuclear accident. Months after the Chernobyl blast in 1986, a concrete sarcophagus was built over Reactor 4 to contain the radioactive material inside. Years later, radiation is still present. Recent findings show milk from nearby farms contain a radioactive isotope 10 times higher than the allowed limit. The sarcophagus has since deteriorated, and engineers are currently building a giant stainless steel arch, more than 350 feet high and 500 feet long, to replace it. Called the New Safe Confinement, the 36,000-ton structure will be wheeled in place upon completion in 2017, effectively sealing the sarcophagus. Giant hover cranes in the arch will then disassemble and clean up the exploded reactor contained inside. More than 40 countries donated funding for the arch, which is expected to prevent further leaks for the next 100 years.
Washington, we have a problem. A nuclear-free Korea is on the agenda for the upcoming Kim-Trump playdate. In the meantime, the North's apparently just gonna test a new reactor while they still can. A newly finished nuclear reactor in North Korea's Yongbyon complex has reportedly come online after satellite images show its smokestack releasing emissions. The North claims the reactor is meant to produce electricity for civilians, since it has the potential to create enough megawatts to power a small town. Experts point out that the nuclear reactor can also be used to create 20 kilograms of plutonium a year to power its nuclear weapons. To achieve complete denuclearization, the U.S. will have to persuade the North Koreans to give up not just their arsenal, but also facilities that produce nuclear fuel. Good luck and Godspeed to that.
Kim's nuclear test site in the mountains is no more. Reports from 2 groups of Chinese geologists have found that North Korea's main nuclear testing site has collapsed, which could be the real reason Pyongyang is suspending its missile tests. North Korea's last 6 nuclear tests were all carried out at the Ponggyeori testing facility under Mount Mantap. During the latest test in September 2017, a bomb believed to have an explosive yield of 100 kilotons set off a powerful explosion. It caused an initial 6.3 magnitude tremor and triggered several more earthquakes in the weeks that followed. Geologists from the University of Science and Technology of China analyzed the region's seismic data and found that the blast vaporized surrounding rock, creating a 200-meter hole as the area collapsed in on itself. A large section of the mountain ridge near the peak is also believed to have broken off as a result of shock waves. Researchers from the Jilin Earthquake Agency reported similar findings and added that the collapse created a chimney which could leak radioactive fallout into the air. Both studies concluded the testing site to be unstable and unusable. The area is located close to the Chinese border, but while authorities say no increase in radioactivity levels have been detected, they will continue monitoring the surrounding region.
Russia goes full Bond villain. A leaked Pentagon document says Russia is working on an underwater drone nuke. The autonomous underwater vehicle, dubbed Canyon by the US, was conceived to target coastal areas. Russia reportedly refers to it as Ocean Multipurpose System Status 6. The warhead measures 5.5 feet wide and is 79 feet long. According to Popular Mechanics, it has a range of 6,200 miles and can dive to over 3,000 feet and travel at 100 knots. The device can also wield the 100 megaton nuclear payload and reportedly contains the radioactive isotope cobalt-60. That means an area struck by it would be dangerously radioactive to humans for around a century.